Awesemo.com PGA show, the Players Championship. This one actually matters. Fifth major, whatever. Tim thinks the fifth major is the John Deere. Most people think the fifth major is the Players. It's a good one, Tim. That is Fantasy Golf, man. I am Ben Raza. You ready to go? We were in the midst of the Florida swing, and now we got a big one on deck.
Fifth major is the John Deere. This is like the second major. This is right behind the Masters. Oh, okay. Yeah. Put it ahead of PGA and US Open, and maybe with the Open Championship. It's a big one. The
field, and we're going to, of course, dive into it all. But the thing that separates this tournament, basically with every other major, US Open, anyone can qualify. The Masters, 80 players and 10 are Sandy Lyle. The Open, guys that you've never heard of. And the PGA, I guess, is kind of like this. But this field has no jackasses in it. It's just normal good players.
And the PGA is the club pros. So
the club pros. Thank you.
This is truly, say what you want about fifth major or whatever. This is truly the best field in golf because it is the best PGA Tour pros along with the best guys from the European Tour. So stacked field, the best of the year.
Stacked to the brim. We got a lot to get into. Before I do, though, you guys see it right there, sponsored by our friends at Monkey Knife Fight. Their player props-based contests are easy to play and don't require the time commitment that the other DFS sites require in order to be competitive. They've got all the sports, whether it's NBA, UFC, PGA, esports, soccer. Easy. Just head over to monkeyknifefight.com and choose which game you want to play, your contest type, the buy-in, all the regular stuff. And even better, when you sign up, promo code Awesemo, you're going to get an instant first match deposit bonus up to $50. Sign up today. Good way to check out a different type of site if you are interested. Before we dive in to Sawgrass and the Players, oh man, easy for me to complain, but I had it set up going into Sunday. I was rolling. I needed Spieth, Fleetwood, not Bryson. Many bogeys later, that did not happen. What did you make of the API?
It was a great tournament.
It was.
I mean, I liked it. It played tough. I like to see that. You never go against Bryson. Come on, that's where you went wrong. He's the man. Say what you want about him driving the par 5. I don't know. I have some questions about that. I wouldn't call it driving the par 5, but I thought it was a great event. I love, good field. I love tough conditions. Like I've always said, I think it's a lot more fun to watch. And, Bryson did what he does. I mean, he's up and down. He's volatile. We've been saying that for a year, and we got good Bryson last week, and he looked good. It was a good event. I liked it.
Great event, fair, tough test. It's everything that I want. Even though it ended, like I said, on Sunday when my guys were many over par, it sucks. But I love nothing more than when you get a streak, you actually benefit where it matters. Posting a 68. You move up the board. That's what it should be like. It wasn't gimmicky. It wasn't stupid. It was just tough. And everyone seemed like they had a fair chance outside of Noren, who on 18 tripled it 2 days in a row. I don't understand that, but everybody else seemed like they were able to take on the test. And I love golf like that.
Yeah, 100%. We always say that. I mean, I jokingly love the John Deere, but from a viewing standpoint, I think just as a fan and as a viewer, I like the golf that we saw last week.
So, and listen, the Players is great. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Sawgrass. But I think you have to admit that, this tournament has a lot of extra variance just because of the way it's constructed. It's a fine line between landing it on 17 and hitting the plank and bouncing into the water. And that can make the difference in a lot of things. But what do you make of the thing I dug into all week, Tim, and we haven't talked about this, and I'm excited to get into it with you. When you look at the leaderboards and you look at the history, it leads me to nothing. It doesn't give anything off. It just incorporates a lot of different types of players.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough. To me, it's more of an accuracy course. 7,200 yard par 72 Pete Dye design. But it's tough because it's such a strong field, and we've had this discussion a lot, in the strong fields, when you have all the best players in the world, the course fit doesn't matter as much. So you see guys like Rory winning here, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it was a great course fit for him. He's just one of the best players in the world. But, I think as you go back, it's one of those courses where the farther back you go, you see some like extremely short hitters. And I think, just looking at the leaderboards, to me, the shorter guys kind of pop out. I mean, Rory won in 2019, which was the last time we got a full 4 rounds here. But you had 48-year-old Jim Furyk as the runner-up. Prior to that, we had Webb Simpson winner, Siwoo Kim winner, Jason Day, another elite player. Prior to that, Fowler, Garcia, and Kisner in a playoff. Keimer, Furyk, Sergio the year before that. A good mixture of these kind of shorter guys that excel at accuracy courses. So, we're having all the best players in the world here. And I think that they can win anywhere, obviously. But I think this track gives not an advantage to the shorter hitters, but it keeps them in the game. I just think the way the course is set up, I think it really kind of compacts the elite players who have great off the tee game. It kind of compacts them with some of these shorter Kisner, Webb Simpson types.
I definitely don't disagree with that. It clearly keeps them in it, and they can. Jimmy Walker, runner-up in 2018. Johnny Vegas was third behind Rory and Furyk in 2019. There are guys that are just, it's a little different. And certainly you see Poulters and Kevin Na, and I think there's some Wyndham correlation that we're going to get into, certainly with Siwoo and co. Heritage, I think you could comp. I don't think it's exactly the same, but there are technical aspects to this. It's just weird, though, because at most technical tracks, you're not talking about par 5 scoring. And here with 4 of them, you really do have to take those apart. And eagles are out there if you don't go in the water.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It is a par 72. There are 4 par 5s reachable. There will be eagles. Yeah. So, yeah, it really kind of tests everything. It's just, for me, it's not an off the tee course. No. Even though there are 4 par 5s, I think the advantage of the guys like Rahm, Rory, DJ, I think that's dialed down a lot. And look, these guys are great in the other aspects of the game. So it's not like we just nuke them from the player pool because it's not bombs away. Like, they are all great iron players. They can make putts. But for me, it's like that advantage that the elite players have is dialed down a lot, and it brings everybody closer. And I think when you look at an elite field over the years, there are a fair number of shorter hitters that pop up here and have won or contended, where I don't think you would see that, in a really strong, deep field at a longer course that requires more off the tee game.
Yeah, I think that sums it up. It's just weird that to see some randos in both directions pop up on the board outside of the best players in the world. We are firm believers that there is no course fit. Some suit them better than others, but if they play well, they play well. Anyway, let's get into it. Chat, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. We try to build this up, and we've got so much content. March Madness will be here basically in a week. I cannot wait. We have got you covered. All right, let's get into it, Tim. 10K options. There's one less because Brooks is hurt. We've got DJ, Rahm, Rory, and Xander. I mean, what could you ask for? All playing fairly well. DJ's the best player in the world. Where do you go?
Yeah, it's tough at the top. For me, I think I'm just I know you're going to agree with this. Keep plugging away with Rory at 10-6. And it's been the same thing for him for literally a year straight. Playing good almost every week, striking it well almost every week, just can't seem to get over the hump. He was 10th last week, gained 4 strokes ball striking. That was good. 6th at the WGC, gained another 4.5 ball striking. Yeah, so I don't know if you watched his press conference. He didn't seem to have a lot of confidence, or he seemed a little, I don't know. It wasn't encouraging. I will say that. I don't look into that stuff too much. But, I mean, he's played really good golf for a year straight and just hasn't quite gotten over the hump. I like him at 10-6. This is a place where I think balanced, and we haven't really talked about pricing. It's super soft. I think you can make some great balance lineups. I don't think you have to play one of these guys at the top. But for me, it's Rory. The consistency's been there, and there's no question in my mind he's going to get over the hump here eventually. He's just playing too well. He's hitting it too well, gaining too many strokes off the tee and on approach almost every week. I like Rory at the top, but I definitely don't think you have to start at 10K plus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to push back on Rory. I don't know. He did seem not, a little dejected, but a lot of that's noise. I think that we'll see. He's playing well enough, but I'm going to Rom. This is the guy that I liked in 2019. I was firmly adamant that he was going to win in 54 holes. I was certain he was going to win, and then 76 on Sunday. And in one of the most ill-advised, like I said, I don't know anything about golf, but I know enough to not override your caddy in that situation, right in the water. He finished 12th, but that was not a 12th place finish. He was right there. He easily could be the defending champ. He's similar to Rory, I think, in that he's playing fine, but no one's really thinking about him. He's got a top 5, pair of top 10s, and 5 starts in 2021, but nothing that's really going to blow you away. And then there's Xander, who, if he's not popular, maybe I'll have more interest. The problem I always have with him is he's over-owned. That may not be the case here. And then ironically, Tim, in this feel like this happens more often than not, does DJ he's not going to get lost, but does everybody look to balance builds with the depth of this field and forget about the best player in the world?
I mean, it's possible because he wasn't good at the WGC. He was 54th, right around neutral ball striking. He hasn't had a ton of success here. He's gotten better, but it's taken him quite a while to figure this place out. And I guess that's something we should point out. I mean, this is a course where guys have struggled. I mean, DJ didn't at T12 in 2017. That was his first time inside the top 25. Rory missed his first 3 cuts here. There's a lot of guys. It takes a while to figure this place out. So DJ doesn't have the best course history. No, he was 5th here last year. But yeah, it seems like he could be forgotten. Just people wanting to go balanced, people not being impressed with what he did at the WGC. So yeah, I mean, like we always say, any of these 4 guys are playable. I don't think there's a real huge red flag with any of them. Ownership will be very important. For me, though, I like Rory, but like we always say, all these guys are playable up top.
No doubt. And I do, before we dive in, and even in the betting market, like the odds, of course, DJ is slightly favorite. Just checking out Odd Shopper right now, 12-1, but Rom at 17-1, Rory at 18. Bryson's the one we're going to talk about. He's certainly steamed, and then Xander's north of 20, but you're not going to go wrong. I do think if you want to be very contrarian, doubling up north of 10K, no one's going to do that. And I feel very comfortable going like Rom, Rory, Rom, Xander type builds. You have plenty of value in this field. You're sacrificing a ton in the mid-range, but if one of those guys wins, it's going to change the entire landscape of the tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, pricing is unbelievably soft. Yes. I don't like it. Nelson Adcock loves it. He'll argue. I guarantee he'll have an argument with somebody on Twitter this week about that. But it's, for me, it's like you can just make never-ending lineups, and that frustrates me. But pricing is definitely soft enough. There's plenty of players, great plays, lower 7, upper 6, even mid 6K range that you can fill in and go kind of double guns up at the top.
No doubt. All right, let's keep going. Let's get into the 9K range. I do want to say very quickly, we had a good question from chat, friend of the show, Brian. He was saying, especially with me, I like to correlate my lineups. You can't really do that here. Yeah, you kind of have to play it more straight up. It's not to say that you can't group guys, and I'm going to still talk about some of those themes, but I'm not doing it nearly as much. And I want to say on that note, my Above the Cut article this week is free. I'm dropping it in chat right now. This answers some of those questions, has some of my favorite DFS picks. So after the show, give that a click, give it a read. It's a good one this week, at least I hope so. But let's get to the 9s. We've still got, this could have been, JT, Bryson, Webb. These guys could be at the top of any tournament and no one would blink. Morikawa, Hovland, Cantlay, Finau, and Reed. What more could you ask for? You clearly can start in this range, Tim, but where do you start in this range?
Yeah, absolutely loaded. I guess one thing we should touch on is pricing came out early.
Correct.
So, some of what happened at Bay Hill, I don't even remember exactly when it came out, but the finishes at Bay Hill aren't priced in. And yeah, we don't want to overreact to one event. But some of these guys like Bryson would be more expensive if pricing had come out on Monday. For me, and I think this is kind of a no-brainer, I think everybody's going to be going there, is JT at 9,900. That's hit him below 10K is ridiculous. He's coming off a 15th at the WGC. But the irons were amazing. He gained 9.5 with the approach, basically tied with Morikawa for the week for the lead in strokes gained approach. And he was bad off the tee. He lost 3 strokes off the tee, and I think that's what kind of hindered him. But there's kind of a twofold answer to that. A, I don't think he can be that bad off the tee again and lose 3 strokes. B, this is just not a super demanding course off the tee. There's going to be a lot of less than driver. Now, there's a lot of trouble if you're completely spraying, driver when you have to hit it, or hybrid, whatever. But he's not going to be wailing away on driver. At 9,900, ridiculous price for him, especially the way he was hitting the irons at the WGC. But he'll be really popular.
Yeah, it's interesting because concession right now, we've only seen it once. It looks like it produced a lot of really wonky strokes gain data. I don't know what that's due to, but I don't think it's a huge, like, JT lost 6 strokes off the tee. That's his worst ever. Like, I don't know if that's a big deal. I think it's more of a ridiculous situation. It is I will speak to the other side of it. It's partly why he was probably so good on the approach with the numbers. He was still incredible with the irons, but clearly he worked out of trouble on some of these holes. But getting him sub 10K, it's hard not to like him. I think the big question, though, is what do you do with Bryson? It's not like he can't just go out and win again.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I'm on a little bit different page with you. I think this is kind of a course fit course. I think it does set up better for the shorter hitters. To me, it's a really bad course for Bryson. Definitely not bombs away. And I think the other thing that you have to think of is, not only is it a bad course fit, he's going to be popular at 9,700. I don't think people are going to kind of look into that course fit. And he's just one of those guys, and we've been talking about this for weeks, months now, is you want to play him when nobody's playing him. You don't want to play him when he's popular just because of the volatile style. And now you get him on a volatile course that's probably not the best fit for him. Could he play well and win? Of course he could, but I do not like the spot for him at all. And you add in a lot of ownership based on the fact that he's popular, he's coming off a win, and he's underpriced because pricing came out before he had the good performance at Bay Hill. So I am off Bryson this week.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you're looking at the betting markets, he's the one that stands out. He's the second choice at 17-1, but he's certainly not priced like it. But I think that just bakes in that he always has more win equity than that. The problem with Bryson is the other side of it. Like, if you had to tell me someone gets cut from the 9s, I would say it's probably Bryson, honestly. Like, and that's not to say I don't think he can go out and keep it going, but he just doesn't have as much consistency. And I don't like this course either, but listen, we're still in the range where everyone has mega talent. Morikawa and Webb. I mean, Webb is the guy for this course. He's, well, that one year when he blew everyone away. But what do you make of him? Do you go to one of the young guns with Hovland and Morikawa? And then we still have Cantlay, Finau, and Reed to round out the range.
Yeah. So, I mean, great course for Webb. I mean, just perfect. Couldn't think of a better course. As won here before. Was good at the WGC, was 6th, gained 5 strokes with the ball striking there. I like him. I mean, Morikawa, I don't know what you say at 9,400. It should be a great course for him as the best iron player in the world. He's just been amazing. I mean, he's won a major, he's won a WGC, he's won 2 other events. He's the best iron player in the world. I like him. I prefer him over Hovland, who finally came back to earth last week. T50, lost strokes, ball striking. So I prefer Morikawa over Hovland. I mean, we can keep going. Finau at 9,100. This is just like, he's playing amazing. 4th, 2nd. I'm like losing track here. 14th. Every time we get him at a reasonable price in a strong field, a major-esque event he's produced, he's playing amazing. I think 9,100, great price. He'll probably be very popular too, though.
Finau, over those 4 events, he has gained strokes everywhere. In every event, he lost 0.2 with the putter at Amex. That's it. Everything else has been positive. And that's, I mean, 0.2 is nothing. He is just absolutely dialed in. He's gained tee to green over 5 strokes in all 4 events. There's nothing to like. I will say that Cantlay withdrew. He's more selective about where he plays, and I think that has cooled some of the steam. Now, I do expect him to garner some ownership. I like this course for him, and he's, I'm not saying he's been as smoking hot as Finau, but 2nd, 3rd, and 15th isn't exactly out of form.
No, I love Cantlay, and I love him at this course. I think he's just got a great all around game. And yeah, quietly, second, third, 15th, gaining 4.3, 9.2, 5.2, everything. This is what you're going to run into. I'm usually the guy who doesn't like anybody, and people get mad at me because I say no to everything. I mean, there's multiple options at every price tier. It'll probably lead to kind of spread out ownership, but it's definitely a week where with this style of course, high variance, a lot of water, a lot of blowups. I mean, you definitely want to swerve from the really high owned guys, and that shouldn't be a problem this week because there's multiple good plays at literally every price range.
No doubt about it. In terms of, Chad was wondering who will be the lowest owned in the 9Ks. Well, first of all, that is why you should come in for the week, if nothing else. We'd love for you guys to sign up for longer. This is a great stretch of golf, but Alex's projections, the ownership projections, those are things that can really help here. I will say, it's early in the week. I think that Reed and Hovland are probably the lowest owned. And it's more product that everybody else is just on fire. And Reed is someone, listen, he doesn't fit as good. His game is not nearly as consistent, but Reed just gets it done. He's always dangerous as a tournament play. You can always go there. But clearly, I don't think he fits as well as these other guys consistency wise.
Yeah, I think he'll easily be the lowest owned guy in this range, like you said, just because this is it's stacked. I mean, they all feel like great plays, but he tends to go under owned, coming off a missed cut as well. I don't think I think he's a popular guy to talk about, a popular guy for people to watch, but I think when it comes down to clicking his name, he's very rarely a super chalky player.
No, yeah, absolutely. 40-1. I took a look at that. I'm not going to lie. Reed at 40 is a number that I would consider basically in any tournament. Let's keep going, though. We got the 8K range, and again, it doesn't stop. Scheffler, Berger, Decky, who the one good thing Decky's done in the last 4 years was last year, he was absolutely dynamite here in one round, and then they canceled the tournament. Spieth, Hatton, Casey, Sanjay. I mean, we'll dig in a little more, but what do you make just at this first top end of the eights?
Yeah, just more great plays. Scheffler looks like he is back. Scuffled a bit towards the end of last year. I think it was around the U.S. Open COVID break.
He got COVID, and then he wasn't good for a little while.
Yes, he was not shockingly catching COVID. Hurt his golf game a little bit, but I mean, 5th at the WGC, gained 5.5, 20th at Riviera, gained 2.4, 7th at Waste Management, gained 5.6. He looks all the way back. Slight, a price break from Morikawa and Hovland. Morikawa has just been better than he has, but I mean, to get him at, $400 cheaper than Hovland, I think is decent. Berger, I never like, but I think these are Berger courses, these shorter Florida tracks at 8,800, one coming off a win where he gained 7 strokes, ball striking 35th at the WGC, but still the ball striking was good. And he's been playing good golf for over a year now. I think at 8,800, I think this track is just right up his alley. I like him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with Berger. I don't know exactly what to make of where he ultimately belongs. And he's one of the many. Course history here is not going to look good, but that's like a lot of guys. I don't really look into that as much. There's just so much variance. What do you do? I mean, 2-part question. One is not as important. Do you care at all about that one round last year? And to extend that, like, does that do anything in terms of what do you think? Do you think people will gravitate towards that specifically with Hideki?
I don't think they will, because I think people, course history is kind of not a touchy subject, but a controversial subject where some people are into it a lot, some people aren't. I definitely don't think people are really going to overreact to one round. So no, I don't think that's really bumping him up too much. And, he was a lot better last week, 18th, but the ball striking was better. And we've kind of seen some shoddy ball striking from him. I don't mind him, but I think there's other guys that I like. I mean, Hatton at 8,500. I'm not a Hatton guy, but I don't know, man. He's just been playing so good. Looked round one not good, but played great the rest of the event. T21 gained 6.2. He was 22nd at the WGC, gained 6.5. And I mean, he's just been he's been great, you know, 7th in the official world golf rankings, but just played great for a whole year straight. I think he likes these type of tracks where you don't have to bomb it. I love Hatton at 8,500.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, so he shot 77 on Thursday, managed to come back and make the cut, came in 21st. He lost 5 strokes putting on a surface that he dominates. Hatton is going to be popular, but I think it is warranted. So last week, I took the plunge and I said that I thought that Spieth had found something, and he did. Played very well again at a course that he had never seen. He's seen the players, usually just for a couple days, though. He does not like this place. It's the age-old question. The guy's playing great. The off-the-tee game looks borderline fixed. Or is this just a course that's not for him in general at this point?
I mean, I would think, and I thought that this would be a great course for him, but like we said, with Rory, with DJ, with a lot of this course takes a while to get figured out. It's not a course where generally guys show up on their first try and play lights out, even though he was 4th his first shot here.
Of course.
But it's a really tricky track to kind of get the hang of. I think the problem with him is it's not a demanding course off the tee, but if you're really bad, I mean, if you're spraying it and you're short, you're going to be in trouble. And I think that's what's got him in trouble. I mean, the rest of his game is fine. I think if the off the tee, if he can just hold his own, kind of Webb Simpson-esque, if he can just be okay off the tee, the rest of the game is good. Yeah, I don't mind him at 8,600. The course history is bad. I don't really care. I think this should be, a decent track for him, provided the off the tee is okay. But I mean, obviously made a massive turnaround, and he's playing very well right now.
So just to dig in a little more, this is the part that's really stumped me. He's got 6 appearances here. He's gained off the tee in 5 of them. It hasn't been, Spieth just can't handle this place off the tee. It's been the short game. He's lost strokes putting in 4 of the 6, and that is really atypical for a guy like this. So I don't know exactly where that leaves him because, I mean, right now his irons are on fire. His short game is back to being, incredible, up there with the best of the best. So that does kind of keep me intrigued because it hasn't been like, man, he's really struggled off the tee here. He has gained consistently off the tee, barring just in 2019, he really lost it. But I do like Spieth, not as much though. I must be missing something. I love Paul Casey and no one else seems to be there.
No, I'm with you 100%. I thought he was one of the best plays on the board last week. He played great. He was 10th, gained 4.3, and now he's 8,400. The only thing that you could possibly pick apart is his course history. Never finished better than T14, couple cuts, couple withdraws. Really could care less about any of that. Just playing great. 10th, 5th, 12th, win on the European Tour, 8th at Amex. I mean, he's playing the best golf, some of the best golf of his life. He's always been a very consistent player, but to string together a lot of really good finishes, it's always been the putter with him, right? He'd strike it great. He played consistent, but not a lot of high finishes. I mean, he's been really, really good. The price is good. I love Paul Casey this week.
And it's been the putter here. He has never really putted well at Sawgrass. It doesn't mean he's going to this week, but whatever. He's not putting well and generally still getting it done. And the ball striking gained 5 with the approach at API. Everything checks out. I'm not saying this is a strong comp, but I see some Valspar. I've said that, and Spieth has played well there. We'll get to Usti. Obviously, Casey's dominated Valspar. Like there's elements of it. And regardless, he's 8,400 and he's striking it and the form is great. And Hatton's going to soak up the ownership. So I'm going to go there. But to round out the range, we've got Sanjay, Fitzy, Scott, and Day. Do you go to another Englishman with Fitz or do you go somewhere else here?
Yeah, I think it's a good course for Fitzy, course where you don't need a lot of length. He's been playing amazing. 10th last week, ball striking slight negative, but that's kind of what you get with him.
Yeah,
being a short game specialist. But he was 11th at the WGC, gained 4.5. He was 5th at Riviera, gained 2.6. So I don't mind Fitzy at all at 8,200. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's Hatton and Casey. I guess not as big of a fan as these other guys at the lower 8K range. I think one thing important to point out is I don't know what's going on with Sung Jae's irons, but they have not been good. He's lost 3 events in a row, lost 8.5 on approach over the last 3 events. Very strange. Started off well. If you look at the overall numbers, T21 gained almost 2 strokes with the ball striking, but negative approach in 3 straight events is worrisome for me. So I think he's kind of one of those guys that maybe looks better on paper, but there's some red flags if you dig a little deeper.
He's been riding an insane, like a putter that's been so hot that he's kind of wasted some chances, in my opinion. Like, he gained 8 strokes putting last week. When Sanjay gains 8 strokes putting, he should be winning. He's that good of a player, and he wasn't even close. So I'm with you. You can't play everybody. It's not to say, oh, Adam Scott. Like, I love Adam Scott for some reason. Okay. Like, he did not play well at the WGC. I personally like Fitzy more and these other guys, but there's some talent there. Ownership will tell the tale. I will try to leverage in spots. All right, here we go. Let's go to the 7s because we still have plenty of guys to get to. I think this is probably a pretty obvious spot that people are going to gravitate towards. Everybody likes Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood's court history is good. Tommy Fleetwood's irons looked good last week. What do you say? 7,900 is a great price for him. Are you going to buy into what I think is going to be potential chalk there?
No, I'm not going to buy. I mean, I don't really have anything bad to say about him. 5th and 7th the last 2 times out here. He was 10th last week. Like you said, irons were good. I think I'm going to maybe one of my least favorite players in the world, but I got a great feeling about Cam Smith here at 7,900.
Oh, dear God.
I like him. I think this is a course that suits kind of some of these scrappier guys, and I think it's right up his alley. He was 11th at the WGC, gained only 1.6 with the ball strike, but that's not bad for him. He's not a guy that's just going to kill it off the tee and on approach. He was great at Riviera. He was 4th, gained almost 6. I like the direction he's going in. We've seen him turning up in big events, the Masters. And I really like the course fit for him. I think 7,900. I think that's a good price. I'm going that route this week.
Cam Smith has been, I mean, mega atrocious here. I don't think that's a problem because I do think the fit is better. And he has been playing well. I do like Fleetwood, but come on. You got to admit, this is the spot for Louis. After the withdraw, I mean, he was playing amazing.
Did we hear anything? I don't know. Why did he withdraw?
It doesn't matter. I have no idea. I assume that it was just because he didn't feel like playing, in the sense of Louis does that sometimes. I'm sure he woke up and something happened with his back or his neck. I have no clue. I just assume if he's in the field this week, that he's not going to withdraw again. The ownership is going to crater. No one is going to go there. I mean, if he just didn't play last week, say he just said, I'm not going to play API and I'm just going to come to the Players coming off of the concession, would we not be talking about Louis off an 11th and 6th place?
We definitely would. I always viewed like the pre-tournament withdrawal a little differently than the mid-tournament withdrawal. I don't know why, just in my head, it was kind of like, maybe he just didn't feel like playing at the last minute or something, rather than like he just Justin Roses it and walks off the course on like the 11th hole or something.
Yeah, Rose made a 9 and then and Chad is pointing out, they said it was his back. He warmed up and then he didn't tee off. Louis does that. I've lost Louis in majors. There's definitely a risk, but there's a risk with everybody. I mean, it happens. I just think people are overreactive. I talked about this with Pat Mayo. Twitter burns down every time there's a withdrawal. People hate losing like that. And I think it's one of the most overblown things out there. It sucks. But is it really all that common? I mean, what are the chances Louis withdraws? It's got to be low.
Yeah, less than 2%. I mean, I don't know.
It's quite low. So I'm going to go to him. I thought you were going to say Billy Horschel, and I would have had to end the program.
I mean, there are reasons to play Billy Horschel. Very good at concession, obviously. Finished runner-up, gained almost 6 with the ball striking. Missed the cut last week, but The ball striking was good, gained 2.5 in those 2 rounds. Florida guy. Yeah, I think maybe some people will be thrown off by the missed cut last week, but he struck it really well, and that's coming off the heels of striking it really well at concession. I don't think I'll go there, but there's reasons to go there, and maybe people aren't going to kind of dig into that missed cut as much as they should.
Yeah, I mean, listen, being serious, Billy Ho in Florida, he's always got that upside. I don't love the price. I'm going to see what the ownership looks like. I'm not really there, to be honest. Always going to bring some. Producer Josh, who's been on fire, who had Bryson last week, we put out our betting video, which will be posted soon, certainly by tomorrow. Billy Ho was in there. Spoiler alert. He likes them. So definitely check that out. We have picked, humble brag, 3 straight outrights, 2 by me, even more of a humble brag. But let's go to the chalk. Your boy, my boy, our favorite Chilean, Neiman's going to be popular. What do you think? I mean, I'm not going to say he's Morikawa. I'm not going to say he's Hovland, but he's getting a big discount from those guys. He's a damn good player as well. Or do you think, you know what? No, this is where he belongs with the Kokrak's of the world.
I mean, I definitely think he's underpriced. He cooled off a lot from the first 2 events of the year. I mean, you can't get much hotter than back-to-back seconds with, 15, 16 strokes ball striking in the 2 events combined, but cooled off T28 at the WGC plus 2.5. I was 43rd at Riviera, slight negative there. Yeah, I mean, I like him, but I don't think I'm as high on him as some other people are. The last 8 rounds, just a lot, cooled off a lot from where he was at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I like him, but I think there's other plays in this range that are comparable. So if he's going to be very chalky, I have no problem going to other guys here.
You're going to Will Z.
The numbers look great. I mean, the guy just stripes it every single week, it seems like. I think the price is good. I do have questions about him having never played here. Like we said, this is a course that kind of takes some guys some time to get used to. But yeah, the dude's a player, and 7,600 is a really good price for a guy that's just going to mash it off the tee and on approach like every single week.
All right, moving down to the mid 7s. Yeah, I mean, listen, Will Z is fantastic. I keep saying I worry about him in these new scenarios that I warp, and then he just plays great every week. I do worry about him in this situation a little bit, not seeing the course. It's a fine price, though. But you've got Sergio, and I think Abraham Answer is an interesting guy. He kind of fits what I envision in the sense of, we've talked about the short hitters, we've talked about the Webbs, but there's another type that can get it done here, and it's kind of like the Sergio types, which is Johnny Vegas to an extent. I think Answer is kind of in that. He's a solid off the tee player, solid ball striker. He was fine at concession, and he's just really kind of just lurking. Was good at Amex. I think he's a good play at 7,500, especially if he's not popular.
Yeah, I don't think he will be popular. Just looking back, 18th, missed cut, 53rd. That's not going to wow anybody. And there's so many, almost everybody seems overpriced. So at every price range, you're just going to look and see guys that kind of stand out. People will gravitate towards, Zalatoris or Neiman or whoever it is. I don't think people will own him. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind him. For me, it's Sergio at 7,500. Absolute stripe show at concession. Short game was an abomination. Gained 10.4 off the tee and on approach, lost 8 around the green and on the green, but absolutely striped it there. Missed the cut at Riviera, but kind of more of the same. Great off the tee, great on approach, bad short game, and that's coming on the heels of a 12th and a 6th on the European Tour. So he's playing really well. He's got a win here. He's got a second here. He's got a third here. He likes it here. So I like him at 7,500, but it's kind of like we just keep going down this path with Sergio, and he punishes us quite frequently, but the numbers are really good.
They are. And listen, it's gotta add up. I'm not going to just go to him. Like, if everyone's the same ownership, I'll just play like Will Z, because I do think that right now he's getting it done. But you're talking about, you have to leverage, and this is a high variance tournament. Experience matters. Is Sergio, say, I'm just throwing out an example. If Will Z or someone like that is 20% and Sergio is 5%, you're never going to convince me that he's 4 times as likely to get it done. I will take the ownership, especially if I start up top with some very common plays. Now we start to get into the range, Tim. I think this is where it gets interesting, where the pricing having come out early means even more. Because Corey Connors, just looking in the betting market, he was 175 to 1 to win this event, and now he's 90 to 1. Bezin, who certainly not going to win this event, barring something ridiculous, but his ownership, these guys coming off big weeks, their price would have been a little different. So what do you do with them? You've got Henley here, I think is interesting. And then you've got a bunch of other flyers in the lower 7s.
Yeah, I mean, Connors kind of sticks out like a sore thumb at 7,400, finishing 3rd last week, ball striking great, like you would always expect, plus 8.5. Really, you missed the cut at Riviera, but, besides that, just great stretch of just off the tee and on approach is phenomenal, but underpriced just because of the nature of how the pricing came out early. I like him. He'll be popular. And I'm just going towards guys that I never play, but I mean, Lanto Griffin, I think he might be good at 7,300.
Played him last week, and I've never played that guy.
He's same. He's actually playing really well. He was 21st, gained 3.4. Ball striking great at. I almost called it congressional. That would have been something. Concession, great at concession.
That's
gained 5.5.
Playground.
He was great at Farmers, gained 6.2. And this is not a guy who normally goes out and kind of puts up big off the tee and on approach numbers. If you look last year, he had a really good year. He was 76 strokes gained approach. This year, he's 23rd strokes gained approach. Putter is really good. That's important because I usually play horrible putter. So it's always nice when you get a guy that maybe can make a couple of those, 5 or 6 footers. But the one thing off the tee is kind of his weakness in, this, like I said, not most demanding. You're not getting up. You're not having to rip driver every hole into like narrow fairways. A lot of less than driver. So, kind of his Achilles heel, Webb Simpson-esque is off the tee. I like him at 7,300. He's playing really good, and he's played good for a while, but the numbers weren't always good. Now the numbers are actually good along with those finishes. That's why I like him this week.
It was a new experience for me last week. I played guys like Lanto and Spieth, and they get these 10-footers, and they make, like, I've never experienced it. It's just like, wow, he made it. Like, normally I'm worried about Sebastian Munoz, who we'll get to, who's making 5 putts on spots that I didn't know existed. But clearly, I think Lanto is in play. He fits a certain style. All right, here we go. I'm just going to do some rapid fire. What are you going to do with Ricky?
Not play him. He's been terrible.
What are you going to do with Henley?
Cooled off a little bit. Don't think I'm going to get there with him.
Is there a worse course in the world for Bubba than the Players?
No, there's not.
No.
There literally is not a worse course in the world, and that's the same reason why I dislike Bryson. Obviously, Bryson better can overcome that more than Bubba, but same principle.
At what point in the tournament did you realize that Lee Westwood was in the field last week? Because I didn't know until Saturday. Late Saturday, I discovered that.
And the funny thing is he was god awful at the WGC the week before,
awful.
and then just out of the blue, runner up, gained 9 strokes, ball striking. I don't know. For me, I'll go all the way down to flat 7 if we're talking about the lower 7K range. I think this is a great course for Grace. He doesn't have the course history. I know. Yeah, whatever.
Every week except Puerto Rico. You're as bad with him as I am with Charles. Except at least Grace is actually pretty good. Go ahead.
So, I mean, there's like this bizarro world where he could be like 9K in this event. He hasn't played well recently, but he's really turned it around. And when I say recently, the last year was not good, but okay, he was okay at Pebble, T34. Better at Riviera, T20, positive ball striking. Wins at Puerto Rico, T26. He's kind of rounding back into form. He's a lot better player than flat 7K. Course history isn't good, but this guy won at RBC, another short Pete Dye track. I think there are some parallels. between the two tracks. Look at Webb Simpson, Matt Kuchar, guys like that have success at both places. I like Grace. I think it's a good spot for him. The other guy would be Kirk, who just seems to be playing well, 8th and 16th, but I'm preferential to my boy Brendan Grace.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Grace, certainly you can make an argument that a lot of what you're looking at is bad data, somewhat longish term, because he lost it for a while there. And this stretch of golf has been his best sustained stretch of golf since like late 2018. What about, so I got two last guys, then we'll get into some punt plays, and certainly tomorrow night, lineup construction, ownership, leverage, everything that you guys need. Me and Jason Roslin breaking it down. What about Sam Burns, who, listen, he had an awful start. He rallied on Friday, and then he just gave it all back. But clearly no one's going to go to him. Where is he? Or do you think maybe not at a field this strong for Sam Burns?
Yeah, I mean, the field strength is a little questionable for me. But, it's a good spot. I think everybody expected, we're on Bermuda now, and it's going to be like full go last week at Bay Hill, and he disappointed some people. But that's just golf. That's how it goes. I mean, there's so much variance involved, and these guys look like they're in like can't miss spots, and they inevitably miss a lot. So, I mean, I don't mind going back to him. I don't think it's the greatest course for him. It's a tough spot. Hasn't played here before. Strong field. I just think there's other guys more likely to kind of contend from this range over him. Like I like Lanto easily over him.
I do as well. I also listen, we're talking about Millie type, aggressive, but Kevin Kisner is the type of player that when he gets going in a strong field, he can get crazy hot. Now the putters carried him through very mediocre at best tee to green numbers. You're not going to find anything in the stats that really leads you to him. But if you look long-term, this is a guy, he was a runner-up at Heritage. He was a runner-up at the Players. He has a third at Wyndham. Clearly, this type of golf can suit him. I don't think that Sawgrass is the ideal situation, but Kevin Kisner at 72 is always someone that I'm going to just look to because I do believe that he can win events like this. He's got a WGC.
Yeah, I mean, lost in a playoff to Ricky. I think the course fit is great. For me, it's more of a question of is he striking it well enough to win? But these guys can kind of turn it around. I don't mind him. I definitely see the reasons. Course fit for me is really good. He's a guy that I like, but just not striking it as well as I'd like to see.
Last guy. Maybe I'm the only one who has to consider this, but do you have any interest in Noren?
No. I don't know, man. I'm off him. I used to like him. There was a time when I thought he was gonna be like the next big thing, but that time has passed. So no Noren for me.
Tripled to 18 2 days in a row. That's so hard to do. Wow, Phil. Don't play, Phil. That's an evergreen statement for the chat. We look out for you here on this show. All right, before I get into the sixes, I do want to quickly say again, sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. Check out them. Make sure to check out everything that we're doing here at Awesemo. We've got so much content. It's not just golf. NBA will be back tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed the break. Baseball apparently is starting. Who knew? March Madness is starting. That much I know, and I'm very excited. We have plenty of content, not just on the DFS side. The betting side, certainly with Odd Chopper and everything we're doing over at Awesemo Odds. So if you're in a state that's got that up and running, we'd love to have you come in and try us out. Maybe can help you guys. Anyway, let's get to the sixes. One last thing again, if you could hit the like button and subscribe, I would appreciate it. I'm going to drop our free content into the chat for you guys. Like I said, my Above the Cut article is free, so feel free to check that out. But Tim, this is a situation. There's a lot of names down here, and this speaks to why you can kind of do anything. We get things started with Munoz, Victor Perez, Keegan, Hadwin, Maverick. I mean, there's names. So what do? I saw your tweet about Gary Woodland already. Where do we go in the upper sixes?
Oh yeah. We got some love for Gary. Munoz at 6,900, bouncing back after a great year last year. Kind of a cold stretch there. He's got off the tee and on approach working again. 22nd, gained almost 5 at the WGC. 49th last week, gained almost 4 off the tee and on approach. I like him. Hoffman, I'm telling you, you can laugh every time I mention Hoff. He's just playing great. He was 10th last week, gained 5 with the ball striking. He's gained 5, 4.7, and 3.8 in his last 3 events. And then he went cut, withdraw, withdraw. And then prior to that, we're going back to like the Sony and the fall swing, and he was playing great then. So, I mean, he's played great golf for a long stretch here. If you just take out kind of that 3-week stretch where I don't know what was going on with him, I don't mind him. And yeah, I mean, Woodland for me is like the deep GPP play. I like him as a bet. The numbers haven't been good, but I mean, he was playing through an injury. He said he's finally healthy. He's finally pain-free. You go back to like Amex, he was T16 and the ball striking was good. And it's kind of been all over the place. You know, a missed cut here, missed cut at Riviera, but the ball striking was good, plus 4.2. Wasn't great at WGC, but I feel like there's some things turning around for him. And this is a guy, you know, look, won on a short course U.S. Open at Pebble, won at Valspar. He has 2 seconds at the CIMB. He's got a second at Honda. He's got a third at Mayakoba. He's got a third at Sony. He likes the shorter tracks, even though he can hit it a mile. I think the course fit is good, even though the course history isn't great. For me, just a better player than 200 to 1 or whatever you can get him at, or 6,800. Now, there's a lot of risk involved, but I think he's turning the corner.
It's an interesting name. Certainly he stuck out when I was just looking at the names. You know, the short course I do think benefits him. It's just a matter of where he's at. I still don't know that, but you're not incurring that much. I mean, these are last man in type situations. Shifting gears just in terms of the player, another one of your favorites. Did you look at Ryan Moore? Ryan Moore, I think, should fit this course, but it doesn't seem to be happening.
I have no idea what's going on with him. He was good at Pebble. Yeah, I mean, I guess you would think it would be a decent course for him, but he generally plays well easier in the Birdie Fest, in the really weak fields, the John Deeres, the Shriners, the Wyndhams, and there's a little bit to that. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think I can get there. Too many question marks. Again, this is a week where like there's so many really good plays. Like you look at guys and you can see all these great reasons to play guys at every price range, that it's tough if you're just kind of taking a leap of faith with a guy like Ryan Moore. And I mean, yeah, you're going to get him at low ownership, but I don't know. I think you can make better plays than him.
I'd say that's fair. Him and Knox, I look to because I do think that part of their game is suited here. Knox, in theory, had his moment. Wiesberger, What about, though? I mean, I know that I say it every week, but that's why we have you on the show. Griot's back. He's playing well. He striped it last week. His putter is fixed. Is that going to be sustainable? I have no idea, but he gained 0.9 strokes at API. That's great for him. This is a great course for him. What's not to like about Griot at 67?
The thing to not like about Griot at 67 is he is incapable of finishing inside the top 25 in a strong field like this. It will not happen.
But does that mean that he's not playable? Because at 67 in a full 155, would you take a 30th from Griot? And he seems to be doing that at a clip that's much better than the other guys down here.
You would take it for sure, but I think there's other guys where you could play where the consistency is maybe almost the same, but a little bit more upside. I don't know. I've soured on him. He's playing great. 21st, gained 7 strokes ball striking, 11th at Puerto Rico. I don't know, man. In this really strong field, the course fit is good. Strongest field in the world scares me with him at 6,700.
Seems to like the course as well. Like,
yeah, I mean, he should. It's a great course for him.
I don't mind it. I really don't. I agree. You know, I certainly concur with a lot of that. But down here, the Players is the type of event. It's not as correlated. I know this is a weird thing to dig into. It's not as correlated to the guys that you click in the sense of who's going to do what. In some tournaments, when you click in like JT, you're like, okay, he's going to potentially win. And then my second guy is going to be up there. My third guy is going to be in the middle. My fourth, fifth, and sixth just need to make the cut. At the Players, like when Webb won, he was in the low 7s. your lineup's going to be all jumbled up, and the leaderboard will be scattered. I think that helps guys like Grillo because just getting through can really help when the rest of your lineup is so random in terms of kind of the placement points equity around it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's an odd tournament with just, I mean, you look at 17, I mean, one bad swing of the club, and you're like looking at like a 9 or something. You're forgetting rule 1 though is never trust Grillo. That's
yeah, but
like
I got other problems. So that's not rule number 1 for me. I got all right. So let's get at, we got a couple minutes left. I'll open it up. The floor is yours. I mean, Norlander's here. Strzok, like, are there guys in the low 6s, or do you think that even though it's a deep field, you don't need to go this low?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to go this low in the sense that pricing is so soft. Like, you can make great lineups, totally avoid this range where you're starting to kind of take on a lot of risk by playing some of these guys. I'll just kind of throw one dart throw out here for low 6s. Andrew Putnam at 6,300. Putting God, like if you look at the putting stats, amazing. But some of the rest of the game is kind of coming around. He was good last week, 4th at API, gained 2.3 at the ball striking. He's a guy you're not going to get 7, 8, 9, 10 strokes ball striking with him. If you get +2, +3, that's more than enough because the guy putts like crazy. So 4th at API, 5th at Puerto Rico, going back 7th at Waste Management, playing great. Off the tee is his Achilles heel. If he can keep that in check, the rest of the game, approach game is solid. Putter is amazing. Price is good at 6,300.
Yeah, fair. Absolutely. He's playing well. His off the tee game is awful. There's no way around that. You're just hoping to mask it. CT Pan not playing nearly as well, but I do think that guy randomly shows up, and I kind of like the course for him. But we're talking about true 1%ers here. I've seen Doug Gim thrown out because he had his little flash there on Saturday. He's 6,200. Andrew Landry, I've seen that name a couple times. Jim Herman. I don't think I'm going to go to these guys. Gim is kind of interesting. I just think if he's even remotely popular relative to the range, it's probably not worth it. That's really where I'm at.
That's true. There's like pluses and minuses for me with Gim. The minus being we haven't seen him here. The plus is he seems to play good more often than not. He's extremely cheap. And like long-term potential has the potential to be way better than any of the other guys in this range. Now I get it. We're playing the tournament this week and not 5 years from now. But I think inside of him is the potential to, be a great golfer where you're not getting that from Bryce Garnett, Mark Hubbard, Brian Stewart, Vaughn Taylor, all these other guys. Like there's definitely a lot more potential with him. So pluses and minuses, but I'm a huge Doug Gim guy.
Yeah. Listen, that's fair. You just have to know what you're getting into. He's also neighbors on the pricing with Lahiri, so that's got to be some good juju. My man got in. Victor Perez, I can't do it. No. All right. We're going to bounce on out of here. Like I said, final thoughts for me. You can't really correlate as much. You just got to kind of embrace it. Look at more than ever. I do think it's not the sexiest thing, but you got to look at ownership. You've got to look at things like that and try to leverage properly because things are going to happen. Water balls, unlucky bounces. Here it's more magnified. Danny Willett, not that anyone's going to play him. He has COVID, so don't play him. He is out. Kramer Hickok is in. Probably don't play him either. So I'll leave you with that. Tim, anything before we bounce on out of here?
I hope it's Gary Woodland week. That's all I got.
That's a terrible. I mean, actually, it wouldn't be terrible, but it's not going to be because Grillo is going to be the man from the 6s. I think we all know that. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I went a whole show without talking about Aaron Wise. That's an accomplishment in itself. Chat, as always, fun show. I hope you guys can make it tomorrow night. We're going to get into it. Ownership, leverage, everything you guys need. If you have any questions, follow me on Twitter. Follow Tim on Twitter at Fantasy Golf Man. And more importantly, get in the Awesemo chat. We'd love to have you there. Check out all the content we have on the site, videos, best bets, DFS breakdown for a lot of people trying golf for the first time this week. Really excited to have you aboard. So on that note, good luck, everyone. Hit that like button, subscribe to that channel on your way out. We'll see you next week for Honda.